Hi, welcome to Tomorrow's America. My name is Richard Donahue. It's flying solo today. Don't have my co-host Will, but so much has happened since we've last spoke. So a couple things. Trump has introduced a 10% tariff on most of the European countries. The countries include Denmark, Norway, Sweden, the Netherlands, Finland, France, Germany, and the UK. That will go up to 25%. We will get into that. Canada makes a huge trade agreement with China. We'll talk about that as well, along with allies and foes. Should we increase relations or decrease relations? We'll talk about that as well. A lot of stuff has gone. Who would have thought in 2026 that Canada would be the United States enemy? We will talk about all of this in this episode. Unfortunately, we are rocking solo, but we will get this information out. This is a huge episode. You need to stay tuned through the whole episode because this is a jam-packed, information-led episode. We have a whole sheet of notes here. Let's get into it. First of all, let's add this into the screen right now because this is something that is huge. All right. So right here, Europe gets invaded by 30 million migrants, mostly Muslims since 2015. European leaders do nothing. They are just letting their cultures go away. European leaders will not do anything without the United States. Look at this. Russia invades Ukraine. European leaders did nothing. Trump wants to make a deal and buy Greenland. Now the European leaders literally want to go to war with the United States. As this guy says, it is crazy. This makes no sense, okay? Now, when you are talking about Europe, okay, Europe is only a thing at this moment because of the United States. Japan got the United States involved in World War II. But when you talk about what Germany had, I mean, they had everywhere from the Soviet Union all the way to France. France would be speaking German. I talk about this all the time. You look at Denmark. Denmark says that they can protect Greenland, yet they got rolled over in 6 hours during World War II. They are such a small nation. There's no way that they can protect this massive glacier sheet. You want to talk about China talking about a near Arctic power. China thinks they're a near Arctic power, yet to this day, they have no Arctic land. Alaska is in the Arctic. That's like the smallest amount that we have. You have Norway with their islands. You have Denmark with Greenland. You have China, which, I mean, what does China have? Nothing. Russia, who has almost half of the Arctic Circle. The USA has Alaska, and then there's the Northwest Territories, Yukon for Canada. China, who considers themselves a near Arctic power, wants to meet with Mark Carney once again. He just met with him and talk about all this stuff that they have going on. They just did this trade deal, massive trade deal for China, terrible for Canada. They're selling out the Canadian citizens. But let's read through this. China, a near Arctic power, that's what they consider themselves, a near Arctic power. It doesn't make any sense, but let's continue. Meets with Mark Carney and talks about Canadian sovereignty. What does that mean? If they're talking about Canadian sovereignty as in like staying a country, people were all mad when the US invaded and took Nicolas Maduro, and they said they invaded a sovereign nation with it breaks international law, a sovereign nation, sovereignty. So they talked about Canadian sovereignty, Canada staying a thing, staying a country, their own country. They talked about that along with sovereignty of Greenland. So they're talking about the Arctic. So what I'm hearing right now, this is basically what they talked about. China, with no Arctic control, who considers themselves a near Arctic power, I guess because they're near the Arctic. How? They're not near the Arctic. They're near the South China Sea. I mean, Japan's more near Arctic than them. But China, who considers themselves a near Arctic power, is talking about Canadian and Greenland sovereignty, which are two Arctic powers. Number one, as an American, what I'm hearing is our number one foe, our number one foe is talking with one of our top allies about the sovereignty of their own nation. So our endeavors of trying to protect not only Canada, Canada is one of our greater allies, but also the European Union, us trying to protect them by taking Greenland so we have that control in the Arctic is actually pushing Canada more towards the near Arctic power, China. So China has already, and we've seen this, Will enlighten me on this today. They've already done, and they say that let's just look at this. They say that it's overseeing military exercises for years. They've been doing this since 2020. They've been overseeing exercises on China, basically showing them how you would have a land invasion of the United States. So, I mean, China is shaping up great in their endeavor. I think it was by 2035 they want to be the number one superpower. Well, they're doing a great job by getting these Western countries aligned with them. And this is not Trump. Trump is doing this to protect these Western nations. The Monroe Doctrine says that we have our hemisphere, the Western hemisphere, that's North and South America, including Greenland, because it's on the North American tectonic plate. That is our sphere of influence. That is our area. So if I'm Canadian, I'm Mark Carney, I have no idea what he's thinking right now, because when I look at what's going on, the U.S. just went in and took Nicolas Maduro, and they just showed that they are not scared to do that. You think that being a part of NATO is enough, that you can ally with China and basically show China how to invade the United States by doing joint military exercises? No way we're going to allow that. That is the most preposterous thing I've heard in recent history. The start of 2026 has been like electric. I mean, if you say that politics is boring and you're not into politics, I have no idea what you're talking about. You must be just watching the news, because the news is boring. But what's actually happening in the world is crazy. So Canada claims that they will fight for Greenland if the United States attacks Greenland, and it wouldn't even be an attack. They have 57,000 people and 2 dog sleds for a military. And Germany, they sent their 15 troops. Well, they pulled them back after the 10% tariffs that the United States added on them, but we'll get into that. Yeah, so they say they'll fight for Greenland. Now, what does fight for Greenland even mean? What does that even mean? So fighting for Greenland, you're going to attack the United States of America for Greenland. 57,000 people. Like, it doesn't make sense. These people are, I hope that this is fear-mongering, because if it's not and they're serious, their 41.5 million population compared to our 341 million, we will walk them over within a matter of days. This is not comparable. All of their major cities are on our border. The up north territories they have, Yukon, Northwest territories, all of that, that's not even usable. You look at Alberta. Alberta is all of their oil. That's where all their natural minerals and resources are. Alberta, the whole 6 to 8 million population they have is on our border. They have this huge province. No one lives up north. So you're telling me that you're going to attack the United States of America? You're going to attack them with what? With Chinese help? They're literally threatening us. They're threatening us with Chinese and Canadian soldiers to attack the United States of America. This is... Take a deep breath for a second, because just process the information that I just told you. Canada and China are doing joint military exercises, and they have since 2020. They've been working together. Now, listen to this, because Mark Carney, before the election, it was him and Pierre Poilievre, whatever his name is. He didn't win. That's why no one knows his name. Mark Carney is someone who Canadians need to really watch out for, because Carney pre-election in 2025 says, and I quote, "China is the biggest threat to Canada." End of quote. China is the biggest threat to Canada. But now we're going to work with them. In 2026, he's strengthening relations and joins the quote-unquote New World Order. Now, do you understand what the New World Order is? I can actually pull the clip up. He's talking about the New World Order. He's saying that we're not us, obviously, but Canada's going to join the New World Order. Are you serious? This is ridiculous. To join the New World Order, they're not even hiding it at this point. Let's click on this video right here, because this video sums it up perfectly. Oh my gosh, dude. This information's insane. And people don't care. People honestly don't care. They want to live their lives blind to the truth, because they don't like the idea of it. They don't like to think about it. But you actually need to think about it. You need to have a voice. This is the time, because the world has never been this insane, this sporadic, We are going through a massive culture shift. And if you're not paying attention, you're going to get lost, just like a lot of people are nowadays. But let's click on this. Check out Alex Jones right here.
You are about to see a clip that has really woken up the world. You're about to see the globalist Prime Minister of Canada pledge allegiance to the communist dictator in China, Xi Jinping.
I believe the progress that we have made in the partnership sets us up well for the new world order.
You heard him? Let's go back.
For the new world order.
The new world order. It's not a conspiracy. He's telling you the new world order. It's happening. It's already going in motion. This is a threat to democracy. You want to talk about how Trump's a threat to democracy? We need an authoritarian, because look at the stuff that's going on right now. The new world order. You're going to tell me that there is no new world order. It's all a conspiracy. People are just lying. It's a conspiracy. Oh, but global warming's real, and there's no new world order. That's not a thing. He just said it. They're not trying to hide it. You're not even trying to hide it anymore. You're not trying to hide it anymore. The worst trade deal for Canadian citizens. Canada allows 49,000 EVs, electric vehicles, into their market and reduce its tariff from 100% previously to 6.1. 6.1. 6.1. China reduces the canola seed tariff from 85% to 15%. So it's a little give or take. This is a terrible deal for not only China or Canada, excuse me. It's not only a bad deal for Canada, but the West entirely. This is a great deal for China. They're doing a great job. Xi Jinping, props to you, because somehow you've gotten this globalist, absolute moron of a leader. And pardon my speech, because I don't like to swear on this show, but this guy is literally selling out the Canadian citizens for pennies. Canada went from selling 1.8 million cars to the United States, the number one importer of the world, the best economy, highest GDP, 1.8 million cars, to now, after Trump, and this is going to cripple their economy, after Trump with the 25% auto tariffs. So then now the American-made brand is back. American-made cars are going to skyrocket in buying. People are going to buy so many more American-made cars due to these auto tariffs. This is supposed to raise the Canadian car price way up, 25%, as I said. They went from selling 1.8 million cars to now, after this, you're taking in 49,000 Chinese electric vehicles. 49,000 at a 6.1% tariff. These cars are on average around 25 to 35,000. You're missing out on billions of dollars. This is going to literally cripple the Chinese economy. I'm sorry. I keep saying the Chinese economy. These countries that starts with C's is getting confusing. It's going to cripple the Canadian economy. You went from selling 1.8 million cars to now you're buying 49,000 cars. Just put that in perspective. That is horrendous for the Canadian people. Their economy has already tanked since the trade deficit that we have fixed on Liberation Day. They made this trade deal with the United States, and it's helped them out a little bit more, but we have a chokehold on their economy. 76% of their exports goes to the United States. 76%. So the fact that they want to ally with China, they're asking to go to war with the United States. They literally said they were going to bat Greenland. You need to look at this. Look at what Canadians, and I'm not even going to say Canadians because it's not the Canadian people. Look at what Mark Carney, communist Carney, is literally telling his people. He's going to install the New World Order. Yeah. All right. So that is just something that I can't understand how anyone will ever support him. How can you support Carney when he's selling out the people? Look at this.
$20 billion in wages are earned each year by Canadians because of our existing trade relationship. And this is a relationship that has been distant and uncertain for nearly a decade. That has held back investment, it's stalled business growth, and cost Canadian workers good opportunities. And it has had the consequence of leaving us even more dependent on our largest trading partner. And that's why immediately after the election, Canada's new government began to recalibrate our relationship with China.
So what he just said is Canada is relying too much on the United States, the largest trading partner. 76% of their exports go to the United States. So instead of sending your exports to the largest economy, the one of the easily the richest nation, and still per capita one of the richest nations, now you're going to let them flood your markets with Chinese electric vehicles? Are you serious, Carney? This is what you're into? This guy does not make any sense. Let's go and pull up another clip. I mean, this guy, look at this. This is great. The Canada-China relationship has been distant and uncertain for a decade. We are changing that. A new strategic partnership that benefits the people of both of our nations. What?
It's been 8 years since a Canadian Prime Minister visited China.
Wow.
This is a relationship that has been distant and uncertain for nearly a decade. That is held back.
Wow. It's been distant and uncertain for almost a decade. I wonder why. Because it's the Chinese Communist Party. The Chinese Communist Party. Why do you think? Why do you think all of these environmental things, you guys want to say that you care about the environment? Well, the United States has regulations. China has no regulations. I mean, I think it's around 30% of the CO2 emissions is from China. You want to talk about child labor? Child labor is still happening. So what are you talking about?
Investment, it's stalled business growth, and cost Canadian workers good opportunities. And that's why Canada's new government began to recalibrate our relationship with China. Through periods of global tension and disruption, we've created more opportunities for our workers, businesses, and investors by working together. That's the opportunity before us now. More stability, more certainty, and
more stability. Yeah, your stability is going to be your GDP declining constantly. Your stability is that you're importing millions of immigrants yearly. That's your stability. You want to double your population size from 30 to 60 million in 20 years by importing immigrants? You're going to have no culture. Straight up, you're going to have no culture. Why do you think that Alberta wants to secede Canada and join the United States? Why do you think that? And then they want to complain. Alberta cannot join the United States. We need them. We need Alberta. Yeah, you do. All your natural resources. Yeah, you do. You do need them. Right here, this is just something simple. Denmark says it's going to boycott all diplomatic relationship with the United States of America. Like, dude, hurt your own country. Like that. If that's what you want to do, you're one ally out of the three superpowers, and clearly we're the number one by far. You want to look at military spending, any of the metrics. We are clearly the number one superpower, and it's not even close. If that's what you want to do, go ahead and do it. But yeah, once again, Carney did say this. The biggest threat to Canada is China. He said that when they were in a debate before he got elected. Well, who's the biggest threat to Canada now? Is it really the United States? Is it China? No, it's your own leader, Mark Carney. This guy's a communist. Ridiculous. But yeah, that's what they're doing. 76% of Canadian exports go to the United States, a NATO country bordering the number one superpower, aka China, bordering the United States of America, now wants to ally with the number two superpower, aka the number one superpower's biggest enemy. So you want to ally with China over the United States? You serve, I believe it's the longest border in the world with the United States, and you want to ally with China? You want to do that to us? Really? You're asking to be invaded. You're literally asking to be invaded. And it's not out of the possibility, you know? Like, if you actually want to look at it, this is going to be crazy. The United States and Russia, that's a two-front war. Europe, you really want to do that? No, you don't. You guys think you hold the power. The United States holds the power. The United States is the big boss, you know, the big brother. The United States is that guy. Who are you to tell us what we can and can't do in our own hemisphere? I get it. Europe, you don't want to lose any land. You know, you never do. You never want to lose any land. You guys are the poster child of colonialism and imperialism. And now you want to tell us that we are imperialists. We cannot have any colonies, you know. We gave up our colonies too. Look at the Philippines, okay? We don't have a problem with it. We've done the same thing as you, but you want to come in and tell us what we can and can't do? Because why? Why can you tell us that? Because you're not nationalist? You won't do anything against Russia. You don't want to start a war against Russia, but you're going to go to war with the United States of America over Greenland, over a 99% glacier sheet island, over Greenland, over 57,000 people, half of a college football stadium. You want to go to war, World War III with us, Canada? You're going to invade us? Are you serious? Are you joking? Canada is going to invade the United States of America and enact Article 5. Article 5. An attack on one is an attack on all. So you're going to attack the United States of America, who, in this scenario, if we invaded Greenland, would have you surrounded with Alaska, Greenland, and the mainland. You're going to invade us. You're going to attack us. Or are you fear-mongering? Are you lying? Are you just talking out of your butt? Think. Think before you talk, Carney, because it doesn't make sense. Think. Honestly, because you're setting yourself up. I say this lightly. You're setting yourself up for a war with the United States of America. A war where most likely you get dog walked in 3 days and we take Alberta, Saskatchewan, Northwest Territories, Yukon, just all of it. Nunavut, you know, the 3 territories you have in the Arctic, we'll take them. Alberta already is seceding from you. Saskatchewan, it's a right-wing province that is sick of Ottawa and what you guys have done and constantly voted liberal, and you guys don't give them even voting rights at all. And they're sick of it. They're sick of it. They'd actually, you know, a lot of citizens in Canada would much rather be a United States citizen than Canadian. Our dollar is stronger. Your guys' dollar is like 70 cents to ours. So what are we talking about? You're going to invade us, Canada? We're your big brother. We protect you. What's going to happen if Russia, and I'm not going to fearmonger Russia, but I'm going to tell you straight up, Russia can easily just go right over the Arctic Ocean. We've talked about this in episodes in the past. Right over the Arctic Ocean, invade Nunavut, Northwest Territories, Yukon, which are your territories, which are Eskimo-filled. No one lives there. Not even enough to have basic voting rights. And you are going to literally have them protect Canada and the United States. Russia will steamroll you. Don't look at Ukraine. Don't look at Ukraine, because you want to talk about the Northwest Territory and that is going to stop Russia? No, it's not. Realistically, you want to attack us? We'll take Alberta, Saskatchewan, maybe even British Columbia. I don't care. We'll take that whole western. We'll take Manitoba. We'll leave you with Ontario. We'll leave you with the whole eastern half of Canada. We'll take Northwest Territories. We'll take Yukon. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me. We'll take it because you want to invade us. You invade us. Well, what's going to happen in the peace agreement? If we ally with Russia, Europe, you're in a two-front war. And realistically, I don't see the UK staying in NATO. I don't see that. If we are at war with the United Kingdom, they know where the power is. They're not going to war again. They don't have the power. They know where the power is. They're with us. Okay? And how do you think countries like Italy and Poland are going to react? How do you think? To a war with the United States and Russia. Think about it. Just think about it. How do you think that they're going to react? They're going to leave NATO. NATO's not even a thing without the United States. The whole reason Europe is united in an alliance with the United States is our protection. And now you guys can't do anything for Ukraine. You guys won't do anything for Ukraine. You care and make all these demands, but the United States has to fund it. The United States has to get involved. And if we don't, then what? We're the bad guy? Yeah, I'm sure, Europe. I'm sure. You guys are nothing without us. You guys are the size of our states. Ukraine is the biggest country in Europe, excluding Russia. They're smaller than Texas. They're smaller than Texas. And I'll be honest, as an American, this makes no sense, It really makes no sense. But as a European, if I'm a European, and I am interviewing a European soon, German, if I'm a European, I want the United States of Europe. That's the only way you could come back and be a superpower still. First of all, you need to deport the 30 million migrants you've imported because your culture is going to nothing. Going to nothing. It's literally gone. Your culture is almost gone. The UK is a radical hotspot for Muslim Brotherhood. The UAE has said that they're going to take funding from their citizens who want to study in the UK because it's going to radicalize their citizens. A Muslim country is now, a Middle Eastern country thinks that a European country is too radicalized for Muslim Brotherhood. Muslim Brotherhood, which is what the United States just declared as terrorism. So what are you going to do, Europe? Nothing. You listen to Big Bro. You let us take Greenland because straight up you have no power and you have no place to be mad. Germany, you sold out. Your 15 troops you sent to Greenland, you pulled them back after 10% tariffs. The EU wants to talk about our trade agreement we made. It's done. Well, we mollywalked you. You want to talk about the trade agreement? We killed you guys in the trade agreement. Your own reporters were like, well, what's Europe getting in return? What do you think this is going to cause? You ended the trade agreement. The next trade agreement, we're going to get even more out of you. Europe is done. Europe is going to be no more. If you guys keep importing these third world country immigrants, you guys won't have Europe. It's going to be Muslim culture. It's going to be Sharia law. And then what's going to happen? Countries like Italy and Poland, well, look at how much Poland is thriving. Look at the metrics. You want to talk about SA, okay? If you know what that means, SA per 100,000. The UK is in the thousands. Poland is at 4 out of 100,000. SA. But it's okay, Europe. Act like you guys are the tough guys. Act like you have the power. It's fine. I'm not European. I don't care. I'm nationalist. I'm American. I'm a patriot. I don't care what you guys do. You guys want to talk about being our allies? You guys are the worst allies ever. Look, even Russia and China are better allies than the US and Canada. Are you serious? Are you serious? Russia is more Western than Canada. Whatever. Let's get into a different topic. It makes no sense. These people want to talk out of their butts. They want to act like they're the tough guys. You're not. You're not. You have no power. Who are you? Look at NATO spending. Who is NATO? And then they want to talk about the joint military exercises France and Germany and the one police officer UK was sending, and they're gonna protect Greenland with that and do joint military exercises. What a joke. Just like Italy said, what a joke. She said it. What a joke. I respect her so much. She's such a great politician. Same with the guy from Poland. Great politicians. They understand what's actually happening in Europe. They want their culture to be preserved. I mean, I think it's amazing that if you go on this track, if you go to France in 20 years, Sharia law, the Muslim call to prayer 5 times a day. You know, but you're going to go to a country like Poland and it's still going to have this pride. You're still going to see the culture. Whatever. Like I said earlier, Denmark, Norway, Sweden, the Netherlands, Finland, France, Germany, and the UK will now have a 10% tariff. Baseline. Everything you import, export, 10%. You know, you want to look at, you want to send us your goods, we're going to tax it 10%. It's going up to 25% June 1st, 2026, if Greenland is not in U.S. control. 25%. That's going to cripple your economy. You guys want to talk about selling our treasury bonds, the $2 trillion you hold in treasury bonds. It's going to tank the dollar. It's going to hurt you a lot more not being allied with the United States. I'll tell you that right now. In Germany, you want to act all tough with your chancellor? You pull your 15 troops out of Greenland because of a 10% tariff? These people need to stop fear-mongering. Stop fear-mongering because it corrupts the American left-wing media, the American left-wing people, and they think that you guys are telling the truth. Like the boomer generation. The boomer generation, currently, a lot of them will just listen to the media. You know, Christian Zionists listen to the media. Everything the media says is true. We need to protect Israel. We need to ally with Europe, stay in NATO, all this stuff. We're done with that. Generation Z is done with that. The millennials are done with that. Generation X is even done with that. They might not understand the wave of social media, Gen X, but they are still questioning it. You know, they're still questioning what's going on. Generation X, they were still decently young with social media. They understand it in a sense. They might not get news from TikTok and Instagram and how it actually can be independent journalism. They're turning too. I mean, they're not a lost generation. The boomers are lost. A lot of the boomers, there's no recovering it. I mean, that's just what it is. You know, there's not. How are we going to recover from that? They're not. Eventually, and I'm not asking for this or anything, but eventually that generation will not be on the earth anymore. Oh wow, there's a massive stink bug. I don't know where it is, but I heard it. Eventually, that generation won't be here anymore. And that's why the culture shift is happening. These young people are sick of it. These young people are sick of the boomers controlling the world. They're all in power, controlling the world, selling out the future generations for this generation because of what the past generations have done. We're done with it. We're done. We're looking towards the future. We care about our future. That's just straight up. I mean, I don't ever plan on going into elected politics, but I need to have my voice out. And if I do go into elected politics, I'm going for the American people. That's just what it is. I'm not even interested in it. But me and Will, when we made this show, we want to tell you what's happening in tomorrow's America, what we can do to make tomorrow's America better, what we can do to save tomorrow's America, because today's America is selling out tomorrow's America. Straight up. The past generations, yesterday's America, sold out today's America. And we're not going to let today's sell out tomorrow. That's not going to happen. Let's go into a new segment. Never done this before. U.S. allies and foes. Should we increase or decrease relations? This is going to be a great segment. The United Kingdom. I'm fine with them staying where it is. You know, they're, in a sense, our dad. We broke free. We were one of the first colonies ever to break free and become our own nation. You know, and I support the United Kingdom. I want them to thrive. I want the United Kingdom to do good. But, that starts with, number one, deporting all of the migrants you've let in. I don't care if they're under the tag refugee or not. You need to deport them. It's becoming like literally a Muslim country. Actual Muslim countries are saying that the people that you are taking in are radicalized. They're saying that they're Islamic extremists. And, that's not what you want in your country. And I know that's not what your citizens want either, because I see mass protests with almost, if not millions of people. They don't want that either. The government needs to listen, because just like in the United States, a huge culture shift is happening in the UK and in Europe and around the world. Look at New Zealand. Look at Australia. Germany. You guys are fear-mongering hard. Okay, Germany's really fear-mongering us. You have a great economy. I really respect it. I think you guys need to be a lot more nationalist than you are. I think you need to start waving flags a lot more. That's one thing I talk about with my friend from Germany. They don't have any nationalism because of what a certain man with a mustache did in 1944 to, 1939 to 45, and that's why they can't be nationalistic. I have some German blood in me. I think it's 15%, along with Irish, Italian, Polish. I don't believe in that. Just like I don't believe in reparations for slavery, and I don't think anyone should, because that's how many generations back? 5, 6 generations. I don't believe that you guys should have to pay reparations by not being nationalistic. That's a reparation. I don't think you should have to pay reparations because of what you did in World War II or World War I. You guys got blamed for it. The Treaty of Versailles, a lot of people know that. You got blamed for World War I. You didn't do it. You guys were on the wrong side. That's for sure. World War II. I'm not defending anything that happened. A lot of horrific tragedies happened in World War II. That was the deadliest war in the world. But and that's not, I'm not going to fact check that. That might not be true. In recent history, the deadliest war in recent history. And let me correct myself. I'm sorry. You guys shouldn't have to not be nationalistic. I see protests. I see people waving the flag, and as you should be. You have the Reform Party. The Reform Party that you got, the I forget what it's called, the RDF maybe. But then your politicians, 7 of them randomly die before the election. That's scary. Something scary is happening in Germany. But I think we should continue our relations how they are. The chancellor was just fear-mongering us with those 15 troops. They pulled them out. The only people that should be mad about Greenland is Scandinavia, honestly. And that's Norway, Sweden. I count Finland, even though they're not really Finland, I guess, and Denmark. Maybe the Netherlands. Like that's it. They can be mad. No one else. I get you want to back your European allies, but all right. NATO, yeah. France, Macron. You want to talk about idiotic? I was talking about Carney. Macron is real bad. Macron is really bad. We need to decrease relations with France, like instantly. They are going down a bad path, and I don't want to be a part of it. Italy. Increase relations a ton. I'd be fine with giving them a better trade deal. I love Italy. I'm Italian. We have a lot of Italian blood in my family. I think everything that she is doing with that country is amazing. I think she is a great elected leader. You could see the way that she talks with Donald Trump. They have a good relationship. I love Italy, along with Poland. Look at the metrics. Poland is succeeding. They just hit $1 trillion GDP. They are doing outstanding. I love Poland. Everything they stand for. I'm Polish. I stand with them a lot. Scandinavia. I think we should stay with our relations, not decrease, not increase, but depending on what happens with Greenland, it might decrease, and I'm fine with that. I really am. I don't care. Straight up. They're going to need our protection. They need us. We don't need them. That's just the nationalistic United States citizen point of view. We don't need them. I'm not I'm not a globalist. I don't think that we need to send them money for no reason. We don't need their allyship, straight up. I'm not a humanitarian. I care for humans. I care for people all around the world. I love everyone. I'm not a humanitarian. I don't think we should send money for no reason. What else? Russia. Oh, Russia. I think we need to increase our relations with Russia a lot. They need to become one of our best allies. If we can pull Russia away from China and we can ally with Russia, I mean, think about it. We fought on the same side during World War II. We were just the only global superpowers, the Soviet Union and the United States, that started the Cold War. The Soviet Union fell. NATO swoops in and took all the countries. I mean, like, we don't have the problem with Russia. NATO does. But we are forced to have a problem with them. Honestly, and I want to talk about, like, you want to talk about Ukraine? Straight up, and this might be a little insensitive. I don't care. Like this is a war that we've given what, $200+ billion to Ukraine to stop Russia because of expansion? No. NATO expanded on Russia's border. Why? If we could end the war today and said that the US will literally leave NATO, NATO becomes the European Union, the United States of Europe, whatever you want to call it, and the EU, had Ukraine in the EU, I don't care. Ally with Russia. We need to be allies with Russia. It's straight. I mean, Putin back in the beginning of 2025 was talking about, it's smart. Yeah, the US is going to get Greenland. It's very smart for them. He understands. We need Russia as an ally. China. I'm fine with keeping it how it is. You know, eventually we're going to need to go farther away from China. China wants to take our spot at number one. Obviously, we don't want them to. That's just, that's basic, obviously. But China, they need us. We need them. We need their manufacturing because we gave it to them. Because we wanted to get rid of our manufacturing because of deindustrialize. Sorry, I couldn't find the word. We wanted to deindustrialize because of global warming and climate change, which, I mean, us deindustrializing has just made the East industrialize more. And the CO2 emissions, it's the same, if not more now. So we could stay the same with China, but eventually we will need to decrease. I'd like to increase relations from a presidential standpoint, but we need to decrease relations when it comes to how reliant we are on trade. Israel, we need to decrease. Now, I let me be careful with how I say this. Israel, they are a very, very powerful lobbying organization in Washington. 93 out of 100 senators take money from the Israel lobby. They are very powerful. They have a lot of power. And they are the size of New England, right? But they are a lot more powerful than they look on the map, all right? They have an idea of a greater Israel. They want to take over countries around them. And we need to decrease relations. We just voted. It was 150 plus Democrats and 150 plus Republicans came together and voted on a bill to add $3.3 billion to Israel recently. I think this was in the new year. For what? For military aid. The military aid that we're giving them, they are using to genocide civilians in Gaza and in the West Bank. Israel is a very scary ally of the United States, and they have made all of the Middle Eastern countries hate us. We have slowly gotten them back. Saudi Arabia, Qatar, the UAE. But you look at countries like Iran, Iran, Iraq, Syria, and obviously Iraq and Syria, our relations have been a lot better, but Israel is not a great ally for us. Actually, one of the worst, and I would like to cut them off completely. But in due time. India increase. I think India is going to be one of, if not the biggest, industrial booms of this century. India has the largest population in the world, and they have so much manpower. We need to increase with India, straight up. I'm fine with staying as it is with Pakistan, maybe a slight increase. They're another military power, nuclear weapons, 200 plus million civilians. I think we should slightly increase. Japan increase. Their new leader, the woman's great. She says she wants to remilitarize Japan, as they should. You know, they need it. You know, with China on your doorstep, Russia on your doorstep, you are an island, but you need to add a little more military. And I see protests in Japan. You know, they're waving the sun flag, the flag of World War II. And, you know, if they want to get stronger, they're some of our top allies, actually. If you want to look at the best allies for the United States, Japan and Korea. Those two, top allies by far. European allies, they hate us. Europe hates us. Apart from some countries, they just need us. That's it. They use us. Canada, the worst. Mexico, they're better than Canada. I mean, like, Korea, just like I said, South Korea and North Korea, but, you know, they have their own thing going on. They don't like the West at all, and they view the United States as a terrorist organization. And to be fair, what we do in the Middle East, you know, I could see why they would think that. But South Korea increase, you know, 100%. South Korea is a great economic power. I think they're what we've done for them in the Korean War. They're a long-time ally for us, just like Japan. Some of our top allies, very strategic location, increase. And Europe, slightly decrease. Europe, I mean, we talk about it. And they want to fearmonger. They want to push us around, think they can push us around. You don't have any of the power. You have no power over the United States. Stop thinking it. You want to get some power in the world? Become the United States of Europe. The EU. Unite. That's how you can get some power. Canada. Decrease. We need to decrease relations. And by that, I mean, there's a high likelihood that we could, you know, I'm not going to say we're going to go to war with them, but if you want to literally ally with China, our biggest competitor, we are decreasing, and we will screw your economy over so hard. 76% of your exports go to us. You need to check yourself before you allow China on Canadian land to do joint military exercises. You've been doing it for years. It's ridiculous. Mexico, increase. We need to increase relations and get rid of the cartels. And if that's, you know, special forces or whatever, we need to get rid of the cartels. Cuba, increase. You could see another Venezuela thing with Cuba, along with Colombia. You guys aren't safe. These are countries that are pro-Eastern, that you're not safe. You better start complying with the United States. Straight up. That's honestly just what it is. I have a couple bulletin points as we take a small intermission. Yeah, let's just pull this up because, I mean, like, this stuff, especially this really got me. The European leaders do nothing about immigration. Actually, let me change this really quick just so you can start to see it in full screen. Okay. European leaders do nothing about 30 million migrants, mostly Muslims, since 2015. I mean, that's literally 10 years. That's 10 years, 30 million people. You're telling me in 50 years, we're going to have 150 million Muslims in Europe? That's in my lifetime. That's in my lifetime. Europe in my lifetime will become majority Muslim if nothing changes, along with the United States. This isn't okay. And Alex Jones brings up some great points. I mean, we can
You are about
click on this.
are two major global superpowers, the United States and China. And we have the leader of Canada, who is the former head of the British Central Bank, a top globalist, a Klaus Schwab acolyte, who just traveled to China and pledged allegiance to Xi Jinping and their model of the new world order.
Yep.
It was,
and this is what I said originally. The new world order, they're literally just spelling it out for you. They want to have the new world order. They want to boot the United States out of here. They want China to be the number one superpower. The Communist Party, the Chinese Communist Party. Canada, you call yourself a democracy? You call yourself a democracy? The country that stands for democracy. The American people. The United States. The United States stands for democracy. Out of everyone, you want to turn your backs on us? Your longest ally, us and Britain, are your longest allies. I mean, and you want to turn your back on us and join the Chinese Communist Party. You globalist Carney. You want to sell us out? Are you serious? I'm over this. We're over this. We'll invade you. Monroe Doctrine. We'll take half your territory. We don't care. We're not allowing a communist to change a democracy on our border. 2 countries border us, and we are not going to let one be communist.
set up by our politicians here in the U.S. in the last 50 years. America was supposed to be done. But Trump, in the last minute, got back in and has now reversed all of that.
100%. Donald Trump on the world stage has reversed it all. He's reversed it all. He has changed everything. Domestically, I understand and I will hear you. I will hear you domestically if you want to talk about some of the things he's done that and some of the more stuff that he can do. Just in the world, we are respected again as the number one superpower by far. We took Nicolas Maduro, the false president of Venezuela, and no one did anything. Russia and China know that hinders them bad. Cuba knows that screws their economy. Can't do anything about it. It's the number one superpower. The big dogs, the United States of America. Love it.
That is the real fight going on. So this clip of Mark Carney whispering under his breath in a meeting with Xi Jinping that our partnership, our progress, our relationship, our new world order. When he says that, he means the globalist system. He means the West shut down, China getting all the rare earth minerals, China having all the development. He means tyranny. He means...
This guy's literally committing treason for the Canadian people. Like, if they actually go through and want to create this new world order, we're going to get Greenland. We're going to surround you. You want to look at the northeast, Greenland, United States, northwest, Alaska, south, mainland, United States of America. You can't stop us. You can't do anything. The New World Order will not prevail. Democracy and free speech and having rights will prevail. We will not let the Communist Party enter our hemisphere. We won't let it happen. Look at what we did with the socialist regime of Venezuela. We're not scared of you, Canada. We're not scared. We have 10 times the amount of population you do. I don't even want to talk about military spending because compared to the rest of the world, we damn near have the exact same spending. So don't come at us with that, Canada. We will take you down in less than 3 days.
Aligning the West with the social credit score, the totalitarianism, new COVID lockdowns, the UN, because it's China and Bill Gates and the globalists that are creating the world ID, coming out with the universal credit score, the social credit score. This is so important. I have another article right here where this whole parade, MSN reports, of world leaders going today, tomorrow, and the coming days to bow to Xi Jinping. And they admit President Trump is not bowing to Xi Jinping. And we just got industrial numbers in. They're spiking. Inflation is slowing. Trump is winning. We are winning. But that's why Trump is under such attack. is because he is restoring sovereignty to the United States of America. Now, with Trudeau, he was just a puppet of the globalists. But when the public voted him out, they brought in Carney, who is an actual globalist. Here he is.
I believe the progress that we have made in the partnership sets us up well for the new world order.
They're not even trying to hide it anymore. He said it. The partnership that they just did with China sets them up for the new world order. You're not going to be a democracy soon. You're going to be a half Muslim, half Indian nation with your small amount of Canadians that were original Canadians, you know, these 10th generation Canadians. And you're going to be a communist country. But don't worry. Big bro, the United States can liberate you.
He's talking about the globalist new world order. But Trump has destroyed their new world order and is bringing in a new order on sovereignty, nationalism, capitalism, Americana, 1776 worldwide. Will he be successful? Well, that's really up to us, because President Trump can't do this alone. So let's see that clip one more time of Mark Carney pledging allegiance to China's new world order.
I believe the progress that we have made in the partnership sets us up well for the new world order.
We're fighting a revolution to save the West, to save not just the American Republic, but the entire West. Because as Elon Musk has pointed out, America.
Yeah, save the entire West, yet the entire West is against us. Look who's trying to help you. The United States, you want to look at it like we're imperialists and that we're taking over a sovereign country, Greenland, even though that they're still ruled by Denmark and get subsidized $400 million a year. And you want to call us imperialists? No, we're trying to save you. We're setting us up. We're setting us up to be the global number one superpower and still stay that way, because China can invade Taiwan, and that will set us up to go to war with China. Now, what side are you going to be on, Canada? What side? Are you going to be with your NATO allies or the New World Order, you globalist? Let us know, please.
America is the central pillar of the West, and if America falls, the West falls, the world falls.
Yeah, and they want it to fall. Because behind the scenes, these oligarchs, these globalists, they want to see the crumble of the West. They want to see the genocide of the white people, the white population. There's 6% of people on the earth that have white descent, because our birth rates are declining while the whole rest of the world's birth rates are skyrocketing. Muslim countries have a birth rate of like 7. And then you look at a European with 1.0. You know, even like Asian countries have very low birth rates, like, you know, Korea and Japan. But you want to look at the European birth rates compared to the Muslim birth rates and how many Muslim immigrants they are importing into their countries. They won't have a country. They won't have any culture. Europe will be the Middle East within 30, 40, 50, probably even 20 years, if we're being honest. 30 million in 10 years. Another 30 million in 10 years. By 2036, that's 60 million Muslims that will be in Europe. At that point, I mean, you're half Middle Eastern already.
I can't do this alone. Your word of mouth, your prayer is beyond critical. Share this report with everyone you know so they understand exactly what we're facing. And make it really fun to be able to support the broadcast. All right.
Respect to Alex Jones, but I'm not going to let you do a free ad read on our show. But if you want to help out the show, first link in the description, we have the Opus Clip link, okay? If you want to help out the show and you want to do what we do, and just like Alex Jones said, spread your voice, click on the first link. You can buy the Opus Clip app that we have, that we create our shorts with, and you can do this yourself. Not only will you be able to spread word of mouth, but you will also be able to help our show. So thank you, Opus Clip, for sponsoring the channel. And if you want to help out the channel, go ahead and click that and start doing this yourself, because it is all word of mouth. It really is. It's getting your voice out there. And this is the biggest thing. As we enter the end times, depending on if it is 5 years from now or hundreds of years from now, you need to praise the word of Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. Jesus Christ died for your sins. Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, and the life. And if you want everlasting life, you need to give your life to Jesus Christ. You need to read the gospel. You need to preach Jesus Christ's word. Okay? And I need to work on it. I need everyone to understand. Everyone needs to work on it. It doesn't matter if you're the Pope. It doesn't matter if you are a everyday Christian or if you are new to Christ. Everyone has to relate or has to work on their relationship with Jesus Christ. So you need to just accept him as your Lord and Savior, and slowly you will see that everything is playing out into revelations and the prophecies of the Bible. That's the biggest thing. As we just entered the 1 hour mark, I just want everyone to know Christ is King. And I will constantly say this always: Christ is King. Christ is our Lord and Savior. And without Jesus Christ, none of this would be possible. You know, we sin every day, and he died for our sins. He died on the cross for our sins. And I don't care what country you're from. If you're Middle Eastern, I love you the same as if you're European. If you are a Russian, a Chinese citizen, if you are Indian, Pakistani, if you are Brazilian, if you're from Argentina, Chile, if you're from Panama, if you're from Canada, and I bashed your country this whole episode, I still love you the same as anyone else. I have no hatred in my heart, because I have the Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, and he is the one who is the truth, the life, and the way. As I said, Christ is King. If you really enjoyed this episode and you stayed all the way till the end, please make sure to subscribe. It would really help out the channel. Comment below if you disagree with anything I said, or if you do agree and you think I made a good point, comment below and let me know. We aren't doing this for the money. We make no money. We aren't doing this for fame. We're doing this honestly just to promote the truth and let people know what's happening in tomorrow's America, because it's a scary place, and it's a scary place that we're living in. We are creating this movement because we care about America. We want to spread the word of Jesus Christ, because Jesus Christ, without him, everything's pointless. Without him, you live 80 years, if you're lucky, a meaningless life, you know, but your life on the earth is 1 second of eternity with Jesus Christ. So you need to give your life to Christ. And, you know, you don't have to be a Christian to follow this movement, but realistically, I mean, everyone needs to understand this and see that Jesus Christ is the life. Jesus Christ makes everything better. So love Jesus, love America. You know, as I said, I am an American full and through. You know, I'm Italian, I'm Polish, German, Irish, but you don't see me pledging allegiance to those countries. You see me pledging allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, like it says in the pledge. All right. So make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you stayed all the way through. I really appreciate every single one of you who have just took the time to listen and watch. So we will be back to talk about tomorrow's America. Have a great day. Like and subscribe. Goodbye.